Jenny Alays, Jenny Alays.
Hatsume wa Kuruda.
Le invenzioni sono fantastiche.
Inventions are cool.
Welcome to Reinventing the Yap, guys. Today's our first episode, and I am your host, Nat.
And I'm Zander.
Today we'll be talking about the start of inventions and why they're cool and stuff.
Alrighty.
So,
Yes.
So we can always talk about like the beginning of like how they started, like how they became useful from the start. So like how like you sharpened like a stick with a stone and made like a spear, or you combine a stick and a stone to make an axe and stuff like that.
So in the beginning of time, people have been inventing everything from the beginning of time. I don't know why I said that twice.
Yeah. I mean, they got the spear was, I think, my favorite primal weapon.
Can't forget about the bow and arrow.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, they probably. I wonder if it was creativity that led them to be like, what would happen if I sharpened a stick and then stabbed something with it?
I mean,
or if it was like, oh my goodness, I need a sharp stick right now.
I think it was probably a mix of both. Like, they looked at maybe a sharp object and they're like,
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was like the cave paintings. You know how like they came up with that, and I think after they figured out they could draw, they were like, well, we need something cool to draw, so let's kill animals. Aside from survival purposes, but
Well, no, because in the earliest cave paintings with people in them, they already had those tools.
well, then that begs the other question: when did they invent those? Like, I don't even think scientists know that yet.
No, I don't think there was enough evidence to come up with to like tell what the first like painting or first invention was. Although it was probably some kind of like stone knife, I would want to say.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends. I think overall, like the spear, like I want to meet the guy that like, sharpened the stone, because like I feel like that's the part that if we ain't have that, we wouldn't have had like any of that.
Well, I'm sure the guy that did that probably just found a crudely sharp rock and then tied it to something, or at least just grabbed it.
I forgot they did that. Back in the day, they just
they
didn't know what that was yet.
Yeah,
so
they didn't know how they could sharpen stones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They probably sharpened it by just breaking a stone, and they got like a sharper end of the stone.
Well, I mean, like that's how obsidian is done.
Yeah, but I think with other rocks potentially too.
Like what about other, I guess, inventions? Like we have like the spear, and that was kind of important, but it's like
we also have stuff that's like not weapons too, like clothing and beds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And shoes. We need shoes.
I feel like that kind of comes from like
I wonder when they decided they needed shoes, because shoes weren't just like always around, like because feet are like super sensitive on the bottom. So when did they decide, let's cover that?
I mean, I think it was like maybe snow. That was a big one.
Oh, that's a good That's a good point.
I remember learning this a while back, that all the like a lot of like coats and stuff, when they figured out they needed like animal hide, was because they went to the mountains, like the early like settlers and stuff went to the mountains, and they were like it's too cold up here, we can't. They kept dying. They were like, why do we keep dying? And it was like, yeah, because we have them close.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, let's make those.
Well, yeah, let's skin a sheep.
Yeah.
Skin a sheep and use its skin.
It's cool how they did it, but yeah, basically.
I mean, basically.
Basically.
That's leather.
Overall.
Yeah.
I feel like
there's been stuff that like has worked a bunch in the past, but there's been stuff that hasn't, like, not quite. Not early on, but like probably later on. There's like the invention of like the glider, like.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, imagine like how many like people like died trying to get that to work.
I feel like a lot of inventions are kind of like a sacrifice thing. You gotta have like think about like most inventions. It's like you have to have the will to, so you kind of have to risk what you gotta risk to come up with something new.
That makes me wonder what came first, the paraglider, the parachute, or the plane. I would assume the plane came after most of those, but...
I mean, yeah, because the plane, like, uses its wings to, like, glide first before flying.
Yeah, I would have to say probably the plane last. But I think the first one would be the parachute. Because it's just like, let's just throw Steve off a mountain and let's just, like, put this blanket over on top of him and see if it catches him. And they were like, it worked.
It must have worked to some... It must have worked to some degree, because I mean, I don't think that would have like worked the first time. But how many times did they fail doing that before they get it right? I wonder. How many Steves did they go through?
Many Steves.
I am Steve.
And then the more cloth they use, the more they realize, hang on, it slowed them down a little bit. So this isn't a complete waste of Steves.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the parachute isn't like a primordial invention. I feel like that's one that came out a lot later.
It's definitely more recent than like the stone, like the first spear.
Yeah. Well, another thing is like how they kind of coexist. Because like you can't. I imagine when they made the plane, there had to be immediately like, well, we got to have the parachute in there just in case.
Yeah.
I don't know how that became. That also then makes me wonder if that's how it worked.
I don't remember how many, but I know Da Vinci had a lot of like failed things, but I know he came up with a couple of like aircraft related inventions, but
the flying machine was pretty cool. I remember that one.
Yeah, I don't know if any of those ever worked, but
I mean, the flying machine in practice worked. The problem with a lot of Da Vinci stuff was that it like you drew it up and it was like, well, I guess, it's like it could work.
Like, it looks like it could work, but who knows?
Well,
it's like the opposite of outdated. It was like indated. Like they couldn't do it.
It was indated.
They couldn't do it yet.
Like it was before its time.
Yeah. I would say probably. Well, the glider clearly didn't. The thing is, early planes were kind of gliders.
Yeah, early planes. I don't think they had the ability to like get themselves off the ground.
I don't know if it's real, but I remember hearing that they came up with the idea after they were like, well, birds can fly. Why can't we do that? I mean,
that's how it had to have happened.
That implies that other stuff is just kind of like that.
Well, I feel like, the only thing I'm getting this from is Tarzan. Because I feel like in Tarzan, he grabbed a stick and he was like, I could probably throw this at fruit and get it down.
Well, that implies like geniuses. How does that work? Because like, you take the original genius and he was like, the guy was just like, what if we just pushed it? And then it was like, what? Whoa. Yeah. So I don't know if like, because like you do that today and it's like, well, it's already been done before.
Yeah, I don't think there's been an original thought since like Shakespeare's time.
I don't
know about that. That's a little far back.
The original genius had the original idea. It's just that it wouldn't be impressive nowadays because like we have all this stuff. And we could have like thought of that if we were in that situation because our brains are a little more developed.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Does that make you like people back then were smart for like Nat's example, throwing rocks at the tree in Tarzan? That was like, was that like the Steve Jobs of the
of the maybe a little bit, but there is like some stuff that like you couldn't like figure out if you didn't already know it, like the discovery of like fire and stuff like that.
It almost makes me wonder if you just threw some kid out in the wilderness for like the rest of their life, would they end up like Tarzan?
No.
I don't know.
They would not be swinging from trees.
You guys know any like failed experiments, any failed inventions that were like really big?
Kind of on the glider topic earlier. I remember the wingsuit. That was a really fun. I don't know if you heard of the wingsuit story.
Everybody loves wingsuits in fiction, but they never work.
Well,
like in Despicable Me.
The real like guy that tried inventing the wingsuit at first, he was in France, so he jumped off the Eiffel Tower with the wingsuit on to prove it worked. But since there wasn't enough wind, he just fell. He survived, but then died at the hospital.
Well, the wingsuit like worked sort of, and he survived.
Yeah, technically, like it's hard to prove that it didn't work, but it definitely worked in a way.
It worked to some capacity.
It worked more of like a parachute than a wingsuit.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's a good one to talk about because
I wonder how many inventions that they tried to make back in like the times we were like the Stone Ages, like we were talking about earlier, that just like didn't work. Because I feel like there wasn't enough like resources to fail an invention. Because like I guess like maybe early versions of like fishing nets maybe were too loose or something like that.
Yeah, they couldn't like just attach a string onto a stick. Maybe they didn't even do that at first. They tried to hunt it bear style, but then that couldn't work.
Well, you guys know like the cormorant. I don't know if y'all heard about that. That's pretty cool. I don't know if that's a failed invention, but it's definitely an interesting one.
Well, what's it about?
So the cormorant is a bird, but it's a bird that can go like 600 meters underwater because of how it's built.
Oh wow.
So the ancient Japanese used to use that for fishing. They just literally took a stick, they put like a carrot at the bottom of it, they threw it down there, and the cormorant would be attached to it, and it just went down there and got it. And it would get the fish, and they would just, probably kill the cormorant. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that that one. But failed inventions. I feel like the bigger ones are the ones that like are nowadays. Like everybody wanted to make the phone first, and so
Everybody wanted to make the phone.
and so when you failed doing the phone, it was
The idea of the phone was like huge.
You like threw the whole thing out the window. It was just like, man.
Yeah, because you had first you had what's it called? Not teleprompters.
The telephone?
No, not. The thing you use Morse code with, the beep 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 beep.
The radio?
No.
I have no clue.
But they probably would have had radio before like telephone. I'm talking about like, did you guys ever watch Balto?
I got no clue.
I've never heard
The
of
one
that.
with the one with the old cartoon movie with the dog, the sled dog, but he's like half wolf and then no one likes him.
Why would I?
You guys have not. Okay.
This is a
Never
failed
mind.
movie, apparently. I never heard of that one.
It's a huge movie, but off topic. Anyway, like they would use it in like train stations to like it take hours to get a message across. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Join us next week where we talk about more inventions, probably some more recent things like that.
This has been Reinventing Yap. I'm Zander.
And I'm Nat. See you next time.